Hello again, everybody. Red here, Past Century Collecting Sports Cards. I want to first thank everybody who watched my last video where I opened that 1970 pack, and I thought I got some pretty cool cards, just awesome colors. That was my favorite. That was the very first card that showed up. One of my favorite players as a kid, Scoop L. Oliver. Some of those cards are going to end up in my 1970 full set as replacements, some upgrades. Never hurts to put some perfect looking cards into that set. But with that, we're going to show some more of my favorite cards today, going back to that favorite 400 series. Wherever I'm at, I'm going to show some really cool cards, 3 of them, and we are going to start off here with a turkey red card. So a big card of Bill Dolan. So I'm going to hold it like this so it gets rid of some of the glare. But for those of you not familiar with Bill Dolan, he's not a Hall of Famer, but I really think he needs to be. I mean, he was the best shortstop, arguably, I guess, with this guy, George Davis, of the 1890s. And then next best, after Honus Wagner, of the early 1900s. There's no question he was defensively the best, and that was said by both reports of peers at the time, guys like John McGraw, who coached him, and the numbers. If you look back at the defensive WAR numbers, he has 28 defensive WAR. He led the league a couple of times. He is 11th all-time in defensive WAR. That's of everybody who's ever played. And he had a really good stick, too. He had a couple years where he hit over 350 early in his career, and that was with the Chicago Colts that was managed by this guy, Cap Anson. That Chicago Colts team never fared all that great other than his first year there. He last played there in 1898, and that year they changed their name to the Chicago Orphans. Later, in 1904, they became the Chicago Cubs. So his years were with the Colts and Orphans. He was a good base runner. He was fast. He stole over 500 bases. He had some good extra base pop, over 400 career doubles, 163 triples. In fact, his first 6 years in the league was over 10 triples each of those years. Also scored over 100 runs each of those years. Even hit 84 home runs in that dead ball era, including 15 one year, 1894, when he was 4th in the league. So you can imagine he's like a Aparicio, Ozzie Smith kind of defensive shortstop, but yet he's 4th in the league in home runs. That 1894 year when he hit 15 homers, he also hit 359, had an over 1,000 OPS that year, and he had a 42-game hitting streak. He had a 445 on base percentage, so good eye to go along with a good bat. But he was a bit of a rebel rouser, and after so many years with that Colts Orphans team, they decided to trade him, and they traded him to Baltimore. Now, Baltimore was also owned by the same guy who owned the Brooklyn Superbuzz, and they switched him over to Superbuzz, so that's who he played for a while. Had some more good years there. Then he, again, they kind of got tired of maybe some of his antics, more off-the-field antics, and traded him to the New York Giants under John McGraw. Had some great years there yet in the early 1900s, including winning a World Series, his only one in 1905. Now, he ended up, after so many years, going back to the Dodgers and became a player manager at the end of his career, and maybe not as great of a manager. He was more famous for getting thrown out of games with his hot temper. They called him Bad Bill. He got thrown out of 11 games one season. In fact, as a player, he got thrown out 10 times one season. In his 4 years of managing, he only won 41% of his games. But as a player, man, he was great. 75.3 career WAR. Now, that's the highest of anybody who's not in the Hall of Fame, who didn't have some kind of scandal. And I guess you could say, did he have a scandal? I guess he didn't have the greatest marriage with his first wife. I don't think he was a wife beater, but he didn't treat her very kind. He killed a mule in some kind of hunting thing in Minnesota with a couple of his teammates, and he got arrested for that. It was supposed to be duck hunting. He got ejected 65 times from ball games. He liked to party, but I don't think that's anything like steroid use or anything like that should keep you out of the Hall of Fame. He's got more total WAR than these shortstops who are in the Hall of Fame, Ernie Banks and Derek Jeter, and those are a couple of guys who are like no-brainer Hall of Famers. So Bill Dolan had more WAR than those guys. So I think he was very deserving of being in the Hall of Fame. A little bit about these turkey red cards. I think they're some of the most, most colorful, cooler cards. They're huge. You can see the comparison. Here's a normal size Today card compared to a turkey red. So there's a website, T3turkeyred.com, that shows what a box of a carton of cigarettes, turkey reds, look like. Real colorful looking. There's the actual cigarettes box. And then in each carton, you get a coupon, and you get 10 of those coupons, and you could send it in and get one of these turkey red cards like my Bill Dolan there. Now here's what the back of this card looks like. This is a non-advertisement back. There are some ad backs as well, but it lists all the players. He's in the first series. There's 75 baseball players and boxers in that series. It lists them all by number, some big-time Hall of Famers, and you can think of like the Ty Cobb being one of the more famous cards. Next card we're going to show, next couple are going to be quick because I've shown these players before and will again in this top series. But this one I just think is just such a cool, colorful card. Cons Wieners, 1966. That's my favorite Cons set. Well, favorite color one. I like some of those black and white ones too. But that 66, Roberto Clemente, just awesome color on that card. Cool pose. Now, unfortunately, 66 Cons went blank back. I like the little bios and stats they showed prior to that. But very cool card in the MVP season, 8.2 WAR season. Now, he maybe did have some better years, especially that year right after that. But this year had an awesome year. Voted MVP of the league, 1966, Roberto Clemente. And for my last featured card of the day, one that if you've watched my Hank Aaron series, showing all my Hank Aaron cards, you have seen briefly, but a little more detail. This is the Golden Stamps from 1955 card of Hank Aaron. I guess not a card at all. It's a stamp, but it kind of looks like a card. It's more that size. It came in these Simon & Schuster Golden Stamp booklets. Came out with 4 different teams that had albums full of stamps for the Braves, the Dodgers, the Giants, and the Indians. And pretty cool looking young Hank Aaron wearing number 5. I think it was one of the cool things from his rookie season of 54. Now I got my replica Aaron jersey that I'm wearing here today with the number that he wore for most of his career, that 44. But for much of his rookie season, he wore number 5. Placed Bobby Thompson, broken ankle in the lineup, and became a star. Hank Aaron, cool looking card. And that's it for the day. Thanks for watching, everybody. Here is what we showed. We got our Cons, Wieners, Clemente, and this big, huge turkey red, gorgeous set. My only turkey red card. Bill Dolan. Thanks everybody for watching. Have a great cold here January, and we'll see you again next time.